Welcome to Retire Smart Maryland with Ozzie Culhagil and Prashant Sabapathi. They are the co-founders of Elite Income Advisors. I'm your host, Spike Spengel. Gentlemen, how are you doing this week? I'll start with you, Prashant. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's great to see you again.
Thank you so much. Ozzie, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. And yourself?
Great. I know you guys have an audience. You have 3-4 seasons of television shows, so I want to thank you for letting me join you on this program today. This is one of my first times with you guys here, but we've been talking for years about this stuff, and you've put together a great program. On today's program, we're going to be talking about inflation and income when it comes to retirement planning. And from what I know, the basis of your firm really is about retirement planning. Can you tell me a little bit more about Elite Income Advisors?
Yeah, so we started the firm really as a way to reach out to people, provide a lot of needed education, we felt, to our community. And when we're meeting with folks in our offices in Ellicott City, you know, we're right off of Route 100 there. We just opened up a brand new 6,000 square foot office, big, beautiful place. But when people come in to visit with us, they're really concerned about things like inflation, how to plan for their Social Security benefits, you know, what are taxes going to do in the future, right? So we're addressing these topics with folks every single day when they come in to visit with us.
Ozzie, you ready to match his energy today? You ready to take
I'm going to try to do my best. I'm not sure if I can match up, but we have 15 years apart, so he definitely has more energy than me.
So you've been here in Maryland, because there's a lot of different national programs that get broadcast on channels like these, but you guys are right here in Maryland, as you said, a couple of different offices now, and with a focus on retirement planning, because there's different kinds of advisors. There's accumulation advisors. There are people who help you with investing. There are product advisors who talk about insurance or annuities, and what you do is actually the whole ball of wax, kind of everything all put together. Am I right there, Ozzie?
Yes, you're right. So what we really do, exactly like you said at the beginning, a lot of people are focusing on the accumulation part of the business, which is the great part, is the accumulation part. But we started to focusing on the income part of the business, and what we talk about is it's all about income. Because when you get to the retirement, it doesn't matter how much money you have. All it matters is how much income you have, and that's our focus, is income, income, income.
I love that. I love that, because that's exactly what you both teed up here today: income and inflation. Now that's the bad part of the I word that we do have to talk about. And if you can, maybe take me through some numbers right now. I mean, what are some of the concerns or planning mistakes that people are making today in regarding their retirement by maybe not considering inflation?
The mistakes I think that people are making it today is assuming the cost of living on their pension is going to match up the inflation, right? And what we are seeing in the last 6-7 months is the inflation is taking off a lot. And if I give a couple numbers, is the Social Security and the government pension got a 5.9% increase in 2022. But when we look at the numbers, the March inflation came back, it's 8.5. April is 8.3, and the May is 8.6.
Yeah.
It is just, if you plan for the 5.9 and if you get 8.3, what's going to happen within the next 20 years?
You're probably going to be short, right?
Yeah, and think about people who are drawing down from their accounts right now. You know, we've seen 14, almost 15%, and these are inflation reported numbers.
Yep.
Let's say if you take a look at real estate, if you take a look at buying a used car even right now, a new car, some of those...
I'm not even sure if you can buy any cars today.
No. Oh, I know. First of all, inventory not there, parts not there.
Right.
Same thing in trying to get your car fixed right now, so inflation is real. And folks, we realize it. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue to talk today about solutions to keep your income going the way that you need to throughout your retirement, no matter what's going on. And Prashant, I find that a little hard to believe. Bring us to that comfort zone. What else do you want to talk about when it comes to people not paying close enough attention?
So I think a huge mistake that's made is that people are not building enough wiggle room into their retirement income plan. So when I say wiggle room, I think that anytime you're looking at your income in retirement, you need to have a supreme understanding of 4 major things. Okay, number 1, where is that income going to come from? Number two, does it increase every year as costs go up? Number three, how is it going to be taxed? And then number four, if you're married, what happens to that income when one of you inevitably passes away, right? We have to understand all four of these things. And I think that all comes back to understanding whether your plan has wiggle room. And, you know, I'll give you a great example. I was just meeting with a client, and one of the first things that we talk about when people come in to visit with us, and we're kind of big on putting a roadmap together, right? We call it the Retire Smart Roadmap. We're going to give everybody who's watching the show an opportunity to call in and look at a Retire Smart Roadmap. But we had someone come in and we're talking about what her ideal retirement is. And she started talking about how she wants to travel and volunteer a little bit more. But it ultimately came back to, how much income is it going to take to drive your lifestyle? And so she's told us $5,000 a month is what I need. And so when I talk about wiggle room, we were actually able to put together a roadmap that gave her $8,000 a month. And that way, if inflation stays at 8.5% or 8% or even ticks down, but is still higher than what we anticipate the average to be over the next 10 years, well, we've built in $3,000 a month of extra wiggle room, and that's going to give her the ability to sleep well at night, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I'm going to ask you further throughout the program, like what some of those solutions were.
Yeah.
But as Ozzie, Prashant, maybe you could tell me, let's kick it off. Tell me, what is this Retire Smart Roadmap? What kinds of elements are in there, and why in the world are you making something like this complimentary to the entire state here of Maryland, where we're broadcasting? Your phone's going to start ringing off the hook.
Yeah. So the Retire Smart Roadmap is really about creating a sense of understanding and education about what your money is doing for you as you retire, as you enter that distribution phase of your lifetime. So Ozzie said it in the opening, right? He said it's all about income. It's not really about how much money you have, but it's about how much income you can generate. So when we put together that roadmap, we're going to take a look at how much income you have coming in. We're going to take a look at your investments to make sure that in a very volatile market that your retirement is not going to be at risk. We're going to take a look at taxes, right? Taxes are a huge concern, especially with the government printing this $8 trillion that we saw during the pandemic. And so those are the types of things that we need to be looking at as we head into retirement. So what we want to do, I want to open up the phone lines, Spike. Let's open up the phone lines. The phone number is 833-308-5200. When you call in, you'll be able to set up a time to visit with us to address some of those concerns. If you're concerned that inflation is running so hot and you don't know if you can retire on time, if you're concerned that the market is taking your retirement savings down and thus you can't retire the way that you want to, you need to come in and have this Retire Smart Roadmap put together for you. It's 833-308-5200. It's totally complimentary when you come in to visit with us. Pick up the phone and give us a call.
You seem quite impassioned by it, and we really do appreciate it. Ozzie, when we come back, I want to ask you if inflation and health care costs are a concern for you. How do you build that into the Retire Smart Roadmap when we get back from this break? Folks, please do take advantage of this complimentary offer to get your Retire Smart Roadmap evaluation, to take a look at everything that Prashant was talking about. 833-308-5200. We're going to talk about inflation and health care and retirement when we get back, right after this.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have, by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go? And who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no-obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Welcome back to Retire Smart Maryland with Ozzie Culhagil and Prashant Sabapathi. I'm your host, Spike Spengel, and we're talking about your retirement planning solutions today. And we're talking also about inflation. And what I wanted to talk about was healthcare needs. I mean, you always see healthcare costs going up, but the duration is also what's called longevity. Right? We're living longer than we ever have. How do you take healthcare costs into account in the Retire Smart roadmap?
So the people know that the medical costs tend to be the huge part of your retirement, right? And like the one thing that we don't really account for is the inflation in part of the long-term care costs and so forth. So did we look at what's going to be the cost in 15 years, 20 years, and 30 years? Mm-hmm. Did we account for the inflation? Because like 10 years ago, nobody accounted for the inflation because we didn't have one. But how about now? The one mistake that people can do is the today's cost. So we run the numbers. Right now, the 2021 cost on an assisted living is $4,500 a month. And if we put numbers on top of that, a 3% inflation for the next 20 years. Mm-hmm. You know what the cost is going to be? $8,128. That's a huge difference between $4,500 to $8,000 and the change.
And I also just want to point out that is for our area around here in Maryland.
Yeah, that's correct.
There's a lot of
Maryland.
folks who are thinking about going to other places, and we know those numbers can be much higher. This is just an average for right here.
Absolutely.
And so when you bear out those numbers long term, you know, that's just for the long-term care. So you were talking something about how you were building in space. You were building in some wiggle room and so forth. I want to start maybe talking about solutions. What kinds of things are we talking about that you were able to provide that income gap to help out?
So I think it's important to look at your retirement in buckets, right? We love looking at retirement in buckets. If you have $1 million saved for retirement, it's important to remember that you don't need that $1 million all at once, right? So what we like to do is say,
I hope not.
Yeah, right. Well, most people.
What kind of an emergency that would be?
Right. Right. So what we will do is we'll say, okay, what can we do with say $100,000 or $200,000 to put it in a bucket that provides us with a secure or levelized or guaranteed income that we can always depend on regardless of what's going on in the stock market. And so when we start to think about our money in terms of buckets and when we might need it and what it might be used for, those are the ways that we can start to allocate money in different places to think about how we're going to account for some of these things like long-term care 15 years from now.
All right, so long-term care, and I think this often gets confused for people. I'd like to bring up Medicare as well.
Yeah.
A lot of folks out there watching this program, at no fault of their own, a lot of folks think Medicare will cover their long-term care.
Yeah.
True or false?
So false in that regard. So especially when it comes to Medicare Part B, this is where it starts to get really important. When you enroll in Medicare, you get that Part A at no additional cost, but the Part B comes with a premium. Believe it or not, that premium is based on your income. So what I did is I kind of went back to 2012. I just thought this was really interesting. The cost of Medicare Part B back in 2012, $99.90 per month if you were in the lowest Medicare income tier. Okay, so pretty affordable, I would say. Yeah. 10 years later, today's cost in 2022, $170.10 per month per person. Okay, so over the last 10 years, that's a 70% increase in the cost of Medicare. And so if you're out there and you're a 55-year-old, what are those costs going to be 10 years from now, right? So another kind of cool example is we had a client recently just sell a house, okay? So came out with a large lump sum of money. It was about $200,000. We were able to take $50,000 of that money and set it up in a bucket that allows her to account for her Medicare costs 10 years from now. Now, we don't know exactly what that cost is going to be, but she's able to use part of the money that she got from selling her house and just take care of her Medicare Part B premium, so that even if it does go up another 70%, which no one has a crystal ball,
right,
she's got it taken care of.
Right, and so I kind of start to see what we're doing here is that we've got different, as you say, buckets of money or different strategies, because I think a lot of folks think lump sum.
Yeah.
Think of the total of what they have and all of their savings,
right,
and then they have to, in their minds, invest it all the same way.
Yeah.
Or say it's either all safe,
yeah,
or it's all in risky, or it's not an all or nothing, and you partition it out. Ozzie, when you're sitting down with folks, is that part of the process that you help kind of walk and talk them through? Because I know that you do like to enjoy the numbers and so forth.
Yeah, I like to enjoy the numbers. But yes, like you say, we like to go through and we want to make sure that they do understand. For example, we were speaking with this couple that they're going to retire in 5 years and they put aside, enough money for the retirement and so forth. But when we look at the long-term care expenses, and let's say it's a $10,000, but they are top-heavy people. What top-heavy means that they saved money before taxes during their working years,
okay,
and they haven't paid the taxes yet. And when we need a $10,000, that money is going to come out from their retirement account, and they have to pay taxes, which is equivalent to $14,000, $15,000 a month.
All right.
I think that's a really big number.
Let's say that again, because I think I'm just grasping what you're talking about. So not only do we need this money, and we're going to take it out of our tax-protected retirement accounts, our 401k, but now we also have to pay the tax on it. So if you have $1,200, you've got to it could be $1,400 that you've got to take out. We're going to have to go to break in a couple of minutes, but solutions on that. What can people proactively start doing right now to avoid that tax pain later?
Maybe what they should do is they should put part of their money aside for the cover for the long-term care expenses in the future in a tax-free bucket. We can go into the details maybe later that how you can create that tax-free bucket, but we have to prepare somehow to pay for that long-term care expenses in the future, especially when the rising inflation is the biggest concern we have
I'd
today.
like to add to that. Another thing there is you talk about being top heavy, having most of your retirement portfolio in pre-tax retirement accounts. This is a great opportunity to talk about Roth conversions. I'm sure that we'll get into this. I know we got to get to a break here, but if you're out there and you're concerned that you're top heavy, right? You've been doing the right thing by just putting money away into a 401k, an IRA, a TSP, and you know that every single penny that you take out of that account, you're going to have to pay federal and state income tax on. If you're concerned about that, this is exactly why you need that Retire Smart roadmap in place, because that roadmap is going to show you the best way to withdraw money from your retirement accounts and what is your tax liability going to be. Is a Roth conversion the right thing to do for you? You just got to be careful, and you got to make sure that you do it with a qualified professional, because engaging in things like Roth conversions can actually put you into the next tax bracket or two, and you just want to make sure that you're doing the right thing for your financial plan. So this is your opportunity for anyone watching the show out there. If you're concerned about taxes, if you're concerned that you're too top heavy, give us a call. It's 833-308-5200. When you come in to visit with us, we'll address your concerns and put that Retire Smart roadmap together for you so that you know that you're on the right track.
We are going to take a quick break right now. We're going to do inflation by the numbers when we get back right after this. Folks, please do take advantage of this complimentary offer for you to be able to get your Retire Smart Roadmap evaluation, to take a look at things like taxes, your investments, legacy planning. And if you want to, you can schedule an appointment by opening up your phone right now. Oh, hey, I was going to be a prop comment. Take your phone right now and open it up to the photos. Face it at the screen right now and go to the QR code, and we'll take you to even more information from elite income advisors. Call for your complimentary offer right now. 833-308-5200. More with Ozzie and Prashant and myself, Spike, when we get back right after this.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to Retire Smart Maryland with Ozzie, Prashant, and Spike. Man, I like saying that. That's got a good ring to it.
It's a good ring to it.
It's got a good ring. And what doesn't have a good, though, ring is inflation today. And we realize that it feels like a ringing in our ears. We look at it cumulatively for the last 2 years. We're probably at about 15%. And you and I have talked before, Ozzie, probably even higher than that. When you look at housing costs, automobile costs, some of the other numbers are just crazy. You wanted to actually share some of the numbers we have right now in inflation, just for the reports of it, and talk about what it means to people's retirement.
It's unbelievable. Like when you look at some of these numbers, I was looking at a fuel oil 70% increase year over year. Used cars, you mentioned that, 35% year over year. Energy, 32%. Food, 9%. Apparel, 7%. I mean, it's across the board with this stuff. And so when you look at what that means for retirement, you just got to think. I mean, you were sharing this story with me. He told me earlier today, he went up to fill up his truck and he had to put his credit card in the machine 3 times.
Like 3 times.
Right? But these are real life problems, right? So if you're getting hit in the pocketbook, how do you account for that? How do you combat that as you head into retirement?
So we've been talking about the inflation part, and I know that you provide, solutions. This is how you help retirees every single day in the office. And so I've got to ask, are you chasing then after higher returns in the market, which is a scary place to go for retirees? What kinds of instruments might you use to help protect against inflation?
Yeah, there's really 2 ways to deal with this. Number one is you can either try to outpace the inflation by getting a better return in the market, but oftentimes getting a better return comes with what? Typically, taking more risk, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times people are not comfortable doing that, especially with the market that's been as volatile as it has been in 2022. The other way is to simply build in more income. So I know you were telling me you were meeting with a client the other day who had a pension and Social Security coming in, but I think you said they had like about $1 million. You were able to take like $300,000 or $400,000 and put it into what we call a green bucket account.
Yes, when I was sit down with this client and what we were looking at it, and let's say they have the Social Security, it's about $3,000 a month, and they have some pension income coming in somewhere around like $5,000, $6,000, but their needs is about $10,000. So we are a little bit short, $1,000. It's not bad, but what Prashant spoke earlier, it's about the wiggle room, right? It's all about income, and we want to make sure that we built that inflation. We have to have that more. So we were looking to get somewhere around $13,000, $14,000 a year. So they have about over $1 million in their retirement account. So like Prashant says, we carved out about like $350,000 put aside to make sure that throughout the years, maybe like 5 to 10 years later, we can take income out from that bucket to complement the other part of our retirement.
So it wasn't all or nothing. It was a portion of it carved out to give purpose for your money. I think my takeaway from this show is going to be wiggle room.
Yeah.
We all
about
need
the
wiggle room with our retirement plan.
Yeah.
Hey, before we get out here today, I got one quick viewer question, if you don't mind. I've got Patty in Columbia, and she said, the more I watch your show, fellas, the more I learn about different financial tools that exist, the more I dislike my 401k and the limited investment choices. Is there anything I can do to broaden my options, or am I just stuck with my 401k?
So a lot of times you can actually have a tremendous amount of flexibility. We talk a lot about retiring with choice, right? And so one of these great options you have, especially if you're over the age of 59 and a half, believe it or not, is you can take advantage of something called an in-service rollover, an in-service withdrawal. It actually lets you take your money from that 401k that you don't like as much and put it into an individual retirement account. And by doing that, you have access to the entire universe of investments out there. So whether it's creating a pension like Ozzie talked about with your own money, or maybe it's getting access to lower cost or lower risk investments out there, that's a great opportunity to take advantage of an in-service withdrawal. However, you don't want to, you just don't want to do the wrong thing at the wrong time. So it's extremely important that you do that with the help of a professional, and you do it within the context of your roadmap, right? So I always like to say that you don't want to wait till you're lost to start looking for a map, right? You want to be able to know that that map is sitting there.
Because that's when your phone doesn't have service.
Exactly.
You like to make sure we've got it before we go out, right?
Exactly. So you want the confidence to know that that map is sitting in that glove compartment, so that when you do get a little bit off track, you pull it out and you know exactly where to go, right? And so this is what we're going to do. We're going to open up the phone lines, and we have the QR code as well. So you can either dial in 833-308-5200 or pull out that cell phone, take a picture of that QR code, and it'll take you right to our calendar where you can schedule a totally 100% complimentary visit with our team here at Elite Income Advisors. And when you come in, it'll be your opportunity to talk through those concerns, whether it's concerns about inflation, taxes, Social Security. This is a great opportunity for you to get your custom tailored roadmap set up. Give us a call. Take a picture of the QR code.
One more thing, Ozzie, from Patty here in Columbia. What I didn't get was her age. And so you were talking about possibly in-service rollover, if that's possible. We said they have 59 and a half,
Yep.
correct? Yeah, but I don't know. Are they 30? Are they 40? It really depends. And I think that's, unfortunately, a lot of the ways we have to answer questions. But those tax-protected solutions, is this something that would be interesting for somebody who still only has a 401k as an option?
It's always an option. It's just that we just have to make sure that when we do any action, like Prashant says, you have to talk to a professional. You want to make sure that you are asking the right question. It doesn't have to be me or Prashant. It doesn't have to be. We just have to make sure that we ask the right question. Should I make an in-service withdrawal? What should I do if the cost rises? Do I have the protection in 10 years? What's going to happen? Just ask the right question to the right people.
Well, Ozzie, Prashant, thank you both so much for talking about inflation and income strategies and solutions. I know you're going to be back again next week. Thank you so much for everything. Here in Maryland, please take advantage of the offer to get your own retirement smart roadmap. 833-308-5200. You need to call us or use that QR code down on the bottom of the screen. Thank you for watching Retire Smart Maryland with Ozzie Culhagil and Prashant Sabapathi. We'll be back again next week.